Hello and welcome into another episode of Lockdown Wolves. Today on the show, Summer League rolls on with the Wolves 3-0. We'll talk about another dominant 20-plus point performance from TJ Shannon Jr., the best player on the floor once again in Vegas. It's all upcoming. Welcome in. You are Lockdown Wolves.
You are Locked On Timberwolves, your daily Minnesota Timberwolves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Wolves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Ben Beecken. I'm the host of Locked On Wolves. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy Hump Day. Hopefully you're having a fantastic week so far, just like the Vegas Wolves. 3-0. And for the most part, pretty dominant. It was a bit of a slogfest yesterday. We'll talk about that. But a lot of positives so far in Las Vegas. And of course, we're going to talk about a bunch about TJ Shannon today. So that's what we'll do today. We'll go through everybody that had big games for the Wolves on Tuesday, and they play again today. It's quick turnaround, back-to-back games in Vegas. A big thank you off the top for making Locked On Wolves your first listen every day. Of course, this show is free and available everywhere. That includes YouTube, as well as all of your favorite audio platforms. Wherever you like to listen to podcasts, you can find Locked On Wolves. You can also watch on the Locked On Sports Minnesota app on both Roku and Amazon Fire TV. A quick aside, if you're watching on YouTube, obviously not my normal digs, and the lighting, I did what I could with the lighting for now. We're going to see if we can make it better for tomorrow, but a couple days here in a different spot, and we're gonna keep playing around with the lighting. It's a little weird right now, but we'll get it. The audio should sound great. YouTube looks a little different for the next couple of days here. All right, let's talk about the Vegas Wolves, who just continue to win. And again, like we've said, I mean, they should, right? They've got 4 of the 5 starters have played rotation NBA minute. Well, I did this yesterday too. Leonard Miller, I guess, hasn't played rotation minutes, but he's been on a roster for the last couple of years. He's been playing in the G League for the last 3 years. He's got a ton more professional experience than most guys on the court in Las Vegas Summer League. The other 3 guys all played rotation minutes at one point or another for a team that went to the conference finals last season. And the other one, obviously, is brand new to basketball, and Joan Beringer, but he is he's an 17th overall pick in the draft, right? So they've got a ton of talent in the starting lineup, and that's not necessarily the case across the board in Vegas. I know the Thunder are also 3-0. I think there's one other team too, but the Wolves have been fairly dominant. This game overall, and the way that we've done the post-game pod so far in with the Vegas games is like not how I would do a regular season game where I do key takeaways and then a bit of a game flow or a breakdown if there's crunch time stuff that happens and then get into individual players. That's obviously not what's happening here because Vegas is kind of a mess in terms of the actual games. What I will say is this was one of the more poorly officiated games I've seen in a while. There were just a billion fouls called. The Wolves were called for 27 personal fouls. The Pistons were called for 25. And I should say, even though we're not doing like a game flow, the Wolves won by 16. This was a close game till the fourth quarter. And then Leonard Miller and TJ Shannon just kind of took over. We'll talk about those guys. But the overall pace of this game, well, there wasn't one. There wasn't a pace. Looking at some of the Summer League scores, Washington scored 58 points yesterday. So I guess it could have been worse. But for this game to be 89-73, and yes, it's only a 40-minute game. It's not 48 minutes. It's 4 10-minute quarters in Vegas. But the volume of fouls called was just unbelievable. I mean, Minnesota shot 28 free throws. The Pistons shot 27. Again, a total of 52 personal fouls called between the two teams. It was it was tough. And like even down to with 3 seconds left in a 16-point game, them calling a foul on a rebound on Jalen Clark. Like, just relax, guys. Swallow the whistle. Like, you're not going to get a job in the NBA just because you blew more whistles than anybody else. Like, that's not what this is. That's not what the competition is. We're just trying to watch these guys play basketball up and down. And the thing with Summer League is it's usually the other way. And by that, I don't necessarily mean less fouls called. It's pace-wise, it's usually breakneck speed. These dudes are just running. It's G League guys. It's, some of the best guys in college who were in college, like you're expecting this to be a little bit more, I don't know, like almost like scrimmages in the combine, right? In May, like you're expected to be more up and down, more free flowing, sloppy. Yes, but fun to watch. This was not that, other than the fourth quarter when there was a bit more pace injected into it because of the Timberwolves defense, turning defense into offense. and ultimately Leonard Miller down the stretch. I want to start with TJ Shannon because I think his 3 games has been the most consistent in a good way, the most stirring, the most actionable. If you look at what you can copy and paste from Summer League to potentially regular season, which is very rarely the case, but it seems completely real with TJ Shannon. And actually, this isn't a bad, I'll make the distinction here. Like Leonard Miller has put up really good lines in 2 or 3 games, but it doesn't quite feel like the type of sustainable production that you're going to see in an NBA game. It's a little bit of the do stuff ability. But it's a lot of broken floor stuff. It's a lot of taking the ball coast to coast, things that don't work with regularity in an NBA regular season game. It's still positives. And again, we'll talk about that. But with TJ Shannon, he scored 24 points on 9 shots. And he had, similar level of, it wasn't quite as efficient the last couple of games for TJ, but some of the other stuff was there. Like game 1, he had 9 assists and 3 turnovers. And I think he had 3 assists, no turnovers in game 2 or something like that. So I think he had 12 to 3 assists to turnover ratio, which I talked about on yesterday's show. That's what I wanted to look out for. I wanted to see more of that from TJ Shannon. Can he actually initiate some offense? And he tried. It wasn't as successful. The assist to turnover flipped in this game. He had 7 turnovers to 3 assists, but the scoring was so efficient that it almost offset the turnovers. Now, I say that, and the area I was looking for growth was less turnovers, more assists, and we saw the opposite. But if he's going to score 24 points on 9 shots, get to the line 9 times, which is not a skill that TJ Shannon typically has, and make all 9 free throws, plus go 3 for 3 from 3-point range, I don't care about the 7 turnovers. I really don't. Like, he was phenomenal. Decision-making wise, some of the passes were just a little sloppy. Like, I don't necessarily think he made that many bad decisions. I think it was just the actual execution of the pass. The decision-making is the thing that's most important right now for him. And he also was active enough on the glass, 5 rebounds in 28 minutes. You'll take that from a guy who's essentially playing a point forward type role, and 2 steals in this game too. Only 3 fouls committed. I thought he was pretty physical defensively, and that's the other area that he's got to try and live up to that Nickeil Alexander-Walker role defensively. I think the upside is certainly greater than what Nickeil did offensively. We talked about this yesterday. But the defense can be to that level with even a little bit more physicality. And I think we're seeing that in summer. This was if it wasn't for the turnovers, I would say this was a perfect game for TJ Shannon. And he's now put up 20 plus in all 3 games. He's had a game and a half where he was a bit more kind of, the distribution was more impressive. And then the rest of the time it's been the scoring. In this game, it was open floor. It was catch and shoot. It was off the dribble. And he's always been a little bit more of a volume distance 3-point shooter than, like, he's not a sharpshooter. He's not typically a super efficient scorer from outside the arc. The thing with TJ Shannon is he can get downhill and score on you, and he does it in the open floor. Like, he actually, the way he plays offensively reminds me of obviously a young version of this, but an even more athletic version with a little bit less finesse and nuance of a James Harden. And a little bit of it might be body type, but the way he gets downhill and scores, and the volume and distance with which he could be dangerous with the 3-pointer, and he almost uses the 3-pointer to set up half-court drives, because otherwise he'll just score in transition. Like, that's all TJ Shannon, that's all he needed to do at Illinois, was bomb threes and score in transition. And we're starting to see a little bit more of the half-court stuff now, and in this game specifically, and I was really impressed by that. TJ Shannon is having, I don't want to call it a breakout because he's done exactly what I think has been expected of him, but he's really solidifying, like, hey, I should just get the Nickeil spot straight up. Like, over at Locked On Wolves, we're talking about about backfilling the Nickeil minutes with an aggregate, in the aggregate with TJ and Rob Dillingham and maybe some Jalen Clark. And TJ's like, no, I'm taking the bull by the horns. This is my spot. This is my rotation spot. I'm going to put up 20 plus in 3 straight games with efficiency. I'm going to have a 12 to 3 assist to turnover in the first 2 games. This is my spot. I'm going to defend. And he's making a real case for it. I want to talk about Leonard Miller. I do want to talk about, of course, Rob Dillingham, Jalen Clark, those guys. We'll talk about Joan Beringer. He's definitely been a little bit less present, less active, popping less than he did in game 1. But I thought he was still pretty good in this game, and a few other guys. So we'll do all that here next. Today's episode of Locked On Wolves is brought to us by our friends at Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Maybe there's a specific category you don't realize you're spending as much money in. For me, it was just eating out in general, but especially takeout, food delivery, stuff like that. It just adds up to more than you might expect. And being able to track that in one place and everything else you do financially all in one app makes it so much easier to manage money day to day. And if there's a goal you want to get serious about, Monarch Money is the best place to help you get serious about that goal. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. All right. So we talked TJ Shannon. I think he is the takeaway so far through summer league games, and we've now got enough of a sample. After game one, it was obviously Joan Beringer. Now it's like, hey, TJ Shannon is the guy with the consistency here. Leonard Miller has been relatively consistent in the sense that he's kind of put up numbers the whole time. They just haven't always been. It doesn't feel like he is, right? Like it. And part of that is when he's doing it. And I don't want to say like, and the way in which he's going about it. And one of the things I talked about on, I think it was yesterday's show, Tuesday's show, I was talking about like what we need to see from guys. And I said, we need to see half-court consistency from Leonard Miller. And we did not see that for the first three quarters. And then all of a sudden it was, oh wait, here's Leonard Miller. And he can't stop scoring. And he was doing it in the half court and the open floor. It just felt a little less sustainable. Game one, he had 20 points, 9 rebounds. 20 points on 17 shots. Game two, he had only 6 points on 9 shots, 7 rebounds. And then this game, he had 20 points on 12 shots, so much more efficient, and 8 rebounds. 3 offensive rebounds. I do like the activity on the offensive glass. I thought that looked good. I actually thought defensively the activity level was good too. He's a bit more spotty defensively, Leonard is. But when he's really locked in, he's obviously got the tools to be successful there. He can rip it and go. And that's probably his best skill. Rip down a defensive board and just go. He's got the handle, the passing ability, and the athleticism to score in the open floor. And most of the time, he's just going to take it himself. I mean, he had 0 assists in this game. He had 1 assist in game 2. He had 0 assists in game 1. Like, dude could play point forward because of he does have the ability in terms of touch on his passes, his handle, etc. But he is very happy to sling to bring the ball to the basket and score himself and not sling the ball around. Game 1, by the way, against the Pelicans, he was 0 of 6 on threes. He was 9 of 11 on twos. Game 2, he was 2 of 5 on threes. He was 0 of 4 on twos. And then in this game, he was almost all 2-pointers. He was 7 of 10 on 2-point attempts. So in 2 of the 3 games, he's been really effective in the paint. A lot of it is in the open floor or offensive rebounds. It's not a ton of driving in the half court, although we did see a little bit of it in this game. And that was encouraging to me. I don't want to discount it too much because it matters. And the fact that he did play well at the end of the game when they were trying to put it away, I don't want to completely remove that. However, the way in which he's going about it against summer league competition, it doesn't feel sustainable at the NBA level. Like, you're not often, if you're Leonard Miller, taking a defensive rebound, ripping it, and going coast to coast and scoring on somebody. It can happen here and there, but that's not a sustainable way to score a bunch of points in the NBA. And I think the part that's maybe most encouraging is the activity level on the glass. I mean, 5 offensive rebounds in 3 games will play. 7 or more rebounds in all 3 games will play. Like, being a little bit undersized to play center and getting some small ball center minutes. I do think there's something there. I just don't know that it's on the Wolves. And I don't mean to get like too big picture on this, but I guess that's what we're trying to do with trying to figure out what we're watching here in Vegas anyway. I see Leonard Miller more as like, hey, could we trade this guy at some point? He's a depth piece, but unless he like it really clicks, he doesn't feel like a rotation guy for the Wolves. They don't need somebody who's going to try and score 20, or be more volatile defensively in their Luka Garza role. as I'll call it, their 11th man role. Like that's not necessarily what they need out of a Leonard Miller. Now, he's kind of de facto in that role this year because it's not going to be Rocco Zikarsky. I don't think it's going to be Jesse Edwards, both of whom are on 2-way contracts. Unless and until they add another big, which they might. They've got a couple roster spots to play with, as we've talked about pretty extensively. Leonard Miller is that guy. Like he's the only other big on this roster. You get past Rudy and Nas and Julius Randle, that's it. Like there's no other bigs unless you're playing Joe Ingles at the 4 with any level of consistency. And I don't think we are. Well, and Beringer, obviously. But Beringer is not going to be relied upon. You're more likely to rely upon a Leonard Miller. So it's a good thing he's doing this. It's a good thing he's producing in terms of the box score. But can he do some stuff in the half court that's a little more sustainable? Can he show the ability to swing the ball in the perimeter when it makes sense, to lead a break and not just for himself? Like those are all things I'd be watching for from Leonard Miller, encouraging that he's done well, but it just feels like G League production is what it kind of comes across as of right now. Rob Dillingham, more of the same. Like we could line up his game log, just look at his game log. Game 1, 15 points on 14 shots. Game 2, 15 points on 15 shots. Game 3, 16 points on 17 shots. I think he's got the exact same number of points as shots, if I'm ballparking that correctly. And by the way, he didn't shoot a single 3-pointer in this game, which I don't actually love. He's a good 3-point shooter. He's 5 of 11 or 5 of 12 through the first 2 games. He shot the ball 17 times without attempting a 3 in this game. I don't love that. The other thing that's been consistent, the assist to turnover. 6 assists, 7 turnovers in game 1. 9 assists, 4 turnovers game 2. So that's better. 4 assists, 4 turnovers in this game. Too close to a 1-to-1. And the shooting, the shots and points being essentially 1 point per shot, that's got to improve a little bit too. Getting to the free throw line, he got to the line 3 times in this game, 4 in game 1 and once in game 2. So that hasn't been all that great either. It's a little bit weird. He attempted 17 shots, no threes, and only got to the line for 3 free throw attempts. It's because there's a lot of mid-range. I haven't looked at the shot chart from the game yet. It's a little harder to find for Summer League. But if we went through a chart of those shots, how many of those 17 are even 1 foot in the paint? The floater game's obviously good. He's a good jump shooter. Like to go 7 of 17, mostly from mid-range, isn't actually that bad of a number in a vacuum. But the context is he didn't shoot any threes and he only got to the line for 3 attempts. So, again, more of the same from Rob Dillingham. And it's not all bad, and it's certainly not all good. It's somewhere in the middle. It's at this point what's to be expected. He also committed 6 fouls, by the way. Remember, you need 10 to foul out in Summer League. We'll talk about Beringer. That suddenly became an issue in this game, too. And part of it was the way it was officiated. Like, I don't know, but probably 3 of Dillingham's fouls were probably pretty ticky-tack. If I had to guess, I'm just completely guessing on that number. But there was a lot of ticky-tack perimeter stuff being called in this game that contributed to there being no flow. But Rob was more of the same. High volume scoring, off the dribble shooting. He had a couple of nice assists. Like him and Amari Bailey had a nice chemistry. And I want to talk more about Bailey because I really like him. So like that was encouraging. The offensive feel in terms of when and where am I passing the ball is still pretty good. It not as much the when, more the where. The where is much better than the when. The when is still, the timing isn't always there. They understand it. I gave the example after the first Summer League game where he passed it to the wing. He was like above the break, pass it back toward the center of the floor. And what you're supposed to do there is cut through, relocate, right? And he didn't. He just stood there and the spacing was bad. Like some of that stuff is still not quite there, which isn't great when you're trying to find a guy to be your backup point guard. I just think, and Andrew Dukowitz said this on Monday's show, it kind of already seems like we know what Rob Dillingham is, and he's obviously got time to prove us wrong. He's 20. Like, I don't want to be too dramatic about that. He's got a couple, a small handful of games in an NBA rotation. There is time to change that. But everything we've seen so far points to the same thing, which is incredible skill level, great shot making ability, very good passer. Effort level on defense has been pretty good overall, but the self-awareness to know, like, when am I doing the spin move into a tough fadeaway midi too often? Like, that isn't quite there yet. And again, he's 20. He should be a junior in college, right? Like, going into his junior year in college. So, like, there's obviously time and there's stuff, there's learning that needs to happen. And actually, I shouldn't say it's obvious there's time. There's not a ton of time. This is a contending team that needs a backup point guard, and he should be taking the bull by the horns. Instead, it's been TJ Shannon. which is great. Somebody's got to, right? But Rob Dillingham has to show a little bit more self-awareness, court awareness, frankly, and efficiency in his offensive game if he's going to lock down that backup point guard spot. All right, I want to close by I talked Amari Bailey, we'll talk Joan Beringer, briefly some Jalen Clark stuff, and that's how we'll close the show here today. All right, let's talk Beringer just because he's the first-round pick, right? Less active in this game. We'll just say that. 3 points in 21 minutes on 3 shots, only 6 rebounds, which actually isn't a terrible number for playing 21 minutes, but no offensive rebounds, 2 blocks. He had 7 fouls committed in this game. Remember, game 1, the whole thing was he had 6 blocks, and I thought he should have had 7 or 8 in the box score. Only 2 personal fouls. Game 2, it was similar. The activity level wasn't quite there. 7 boards, 5 of them offensive, only 1 block, but also only 2 fouls. In this game, he had 7 fouls, and I chalked it up more to the officiating than actually him being reckless or anything defensively. I actually liked what I saw from him on the perimeter a couple of times where he was showing and recovering. I thought the mobility looked great, which is expected, but he just doesn't have that many reps. Like everybody's talked a ton about him only playing basketball for less than 4 years now, but the mobility is really legit for him to get out and help and then recover. There were a couple of different times in this game where he did that and looked very fleet of foot, looked very comfortable doing it. That's what I took from this game in terms of a positive. You'd love him to be a little more active on the offensive glass. No offensive boards in 21 minutes isn't ideal. 3 stocks in 21 minutes, we'll take it. Like, even still now, we're talking, an average of 3 blocks per game. He had 2 in this game, 1 in the last one, 6 in the first one. So, like, that's a good number. And there just isn't any offensive usage to speak of. Like, he's not part of the offensive game plan other than lobs and putbacks. And if he's not getting putbacks, he's only scoring on lobs, right? Or dump offs or whatever. And I think that has more to do with the guard play, i.e. Rob Dillingham, and lack of like a true point guard on this roster. I mean, like Rob Dillingham, like Amari Bailey isn't really he's a shooting guard and more of a point guard's body, really. Same with Tristan Newton. And that's kind of the Wolves' MO. Like, they go back. I mean, their backup last year was Nickeil Alexander-Walker at the point guard spot. So this summer league team, by not having a quote unquote true point guard, traditional point guard, if you will, that's going to hurt what Beringer is able to do from a production standpoint. I thought he was good. I thought the activity level was positive defensively. And I feel good about him coming away from this game. We got to talk Amari Bailey. Like, Amari Bailey's been really good. And he was one of the 2 non-roster guys that I pointed out before. Actually, there's only 2 non-roster guys playing that are not either on 2As this year, were last year, or draft picks. And those 2 guys are Jamal Cain and Amari Bailey, which I will say, just a brief tooting my own horn here. Before Summer League started, those were the 2 guys I called out as keep an eye on these guys. They're the only 2 guys that are playing. Like, we talked about Martez Brown and Nigel Eastern and CJ Fulton and Babacar Sane and Des Watson. We covered all those guys in the Summer League preview, but I said in that episode, keep an eye out for Amari Bailey and Jamal Cain. And those are the 2 dudes that are seeing rotation minutes. And they both played more than Jesse Edwards, Tristan Newton, and Rocco Zakarsky in this game, by the way. Amari Bailey was very, very good. 11 points on 9 shots, got to the line 3 times, made all of his free throws, 5 boards as a 6'4" guard, 4 assists, 2 blocks in this game, 3 turnovers. So going back, I mean, game 1, Amari had 7 points, 2 assists. Game 2, he had 6 points, 3 assists, 5 boards. And then now in game 3, he puts up 11 points, 5 boards, 4 assists. So getting progressively better, getting more comfortable. There were a couple of plays where he was on the receiving end of a nice Dillingham pass that was also had a nice finish in the paint. And then he passed one, I think, to Dillingham not too long thereafter, where he passed to a cutting Dillingham. And it was just a really, really nice delivery. He looks the part. And a reminder of what his history is. He was a top 10 high school recruit. He played with Jalen Clark at UCLA a couple of years ago, was a 2nd-round pick last year in Charlotte, and didn't play well for them in brief action and bounced around, ended up with the Iowa Wolves of the G League. But he is tough. He's hard-nosed. He's a smaller guard. Like I said, he's 6'4". 6'4" with I lost my stats for him here. There he is, 6'4" with a 6'7" wingspan. You need him to be a good passer playmaker at that size. And I don't Like, he didn't profile as that coming out of UCLA. Again, he's not a pure point guard, but passes like that pass he made to Dillingham is what you need to see out of him. And now through 3 games, he's got 9 assists, like 3 assists per game in what, 16, 17 minutes a game. Not too bad in summer league when you're playing with guys you haven't played for before and you're not truly playing point guard. He's a tough player. Like I said, hard nose, good first step offensively, really good footwork, and he's physical. He's got good touch around the rim. The shooting skill hasn't been as consistent, and it hasn't in Vegas either. And then you need to see a little more playmaking. And if one of those things can rise to the level of, okay, this dude can do this in the NBA, like, then he deserves a roster spot. So far in summer league, Bailey is 1 of 4 on 3-point attempts. So he's not bombs away from out there, but he's scoring in the paint when he gets the opportunity. He's distributing for others. And I really like Amari Bailey. I think there's a shot, a real shot. That dude ends up with a 2-way on this team, and Tristan Newton may be elsewhere. Or maybe Amari Bailey gets an actual contract from Minnesota. I'd be a little surprised if that happened, but I see him on a 2-way for the Timberwolves. He brings that tough, kind of hard-nosed mindset from the backcourt. And while you love somebody that size to play make better, especially a team that has very few point guards on it, I think Amari Bailey defensively is very good and can give you a bit of that spark offensively as well. Jamal Cain, who I very much like, did not shoot the ball well in this game. I thought he played well. 4 boards in 18 minutes, shot just 1 of 6, had only 2 points, 1 steal, 1 block, but again, 2 stocks in 18 minutes. I think he's a nice player, and he's just a straight up NBA wing. And I've said that before, like he's a depth piece more than anything else. Jesse Edwards, I thought was a little better in this game than he had been. I thought late in the game, he was really good defensively. I just always say with him, you just want more rebounds. Like, he only had 5 boards in game 1. He had 1 board in 15 minutes. Game 2, he had 3 in 13 minutes. And in this game, he had 5 in 15 minutes. So he's trending in the right direction. But like, the activity level on the glass for a dude that big has to be better. He did have a couple of blocks. Again, the presence defensively was good. I thought this was his best game. I just think he's nothing more than a 5th big. And I feel like the Wolves could allocate the resources a little bit better. But anyway, this was his best game. Tristan Newton had a bit of a rough game. We talked about with Andrew Dukowitz on Monday. Andrew felt like he's probably trying to get a guaranteed deal somewhere else, which is why he hasn't signed the 2-way qualifying offer with Minnesota that they've extended. Remember, he was on a 2-way last year after they got him from the Pacers. So there's obviously a chance he comes back, but I think he's been underwhelming. He's been clearly outplayed by Amari Bailey, and I would even say Jamal Cain. He was pretty good in the second game, but I would say Bailey and Cain have both looked better than Tristan Newton so far in Vegas Summer League. All right, the Wolves play again today. I believe they play in the afternoon again. Yeah, 4:00 today at NBA TV against the 1-2 Phoenix Suns Summer League entry. So we'll do the same thing. I'll have a show tomorrow. It may post a little earlier on Thursday, so be in tune for that, or keep an eye out for that as we bring you another Summer League post-game pod, if you will. So that's upcoming tomorrow. A big thank you for making Locked On Wolves your first listen every single day. Of course, this show is free and available everywhere. You can watch on YouTube as well, and you can also watch on the Locked On Sports Minnesota app on both Roku and Amazon Fire TV. A reminder that for your second listen, you can check out the Locked On NBA podcast, where there is no offseason. Doug, Matt, and Hayes keep you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, and everything you need to be the most informed NBA fan. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Of course, Locked On Wolves is also part of that very same Locked On Podcast Network. And of course, we're your local experts on all the biggest stories. Once again, I'm Ben Beecken. This is the Locked On Wolves podcast, and we'll catch you next time.